great honor and pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to call on stage the man who, when we have a coffee break in between meetings, still tries to teach me advanced mathematics. To no avail. And frankly, I think none of us would be here today, I think, if it's fair to say, if together with a few colleagues, he hadn't created something truly revolutionary that's still today changing the world for the better, the internet. So please welcome on stage the chair of the ICANN board, Dr. Stephen Crocker.
Thank you, Jean-Jacques. That was very generous. I paid close attention, actually, when you were listing the different components of our multi-stakeholder, and I was very pleased, actually, that you put the techies first. It's an enormous pleasure to be here. My first trip outside the U.S. To Europe was actually to Denmark, to here. And for reasons that I can't explain, it has just not happened that I had an opportunity to come back. So I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. So I'm going to say a series of formal remarks as required and try to squeeze in a bit informal as well. Distinguished ministers, ICANN community members, colleagues from other internet organizations, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ICANN58. Our presence in Denmark is fitting since only a couple of weeks ago the European Commission declared this country one of the most technologically advanced in Europe. As people here know, many Danes are accessing the internet through mobile devices linked to the nation's 100% 4G cellular systems, which last year facilitated a 97% internet penetration rate. We're done, right? Yeah. There's no doubt that Denmark is a connected country, and I'm hoping that the coming days we too can become connected, perhaps on a more personal level. Not on the script. I'm reminded that when we were working on the very first part of the internet, the ARPANET back in the late 1960s, we began a tradition which has not been mentioned much, but we made up a slogan, many, many slogans since then. And our slogan at the time was, "Networks bring people together," and I think that that remains true. You've come from all corners of the world to be here in the beautiful city of Copenhagen, but our collective journey encompasses far more than geographic distance. We've arrived here at our 58th public meeting after 18 years of work, collaboration, and outreach. And in that time, we have met and worked with many different people, been exposed to many different cultures, and we've grown, sometimes painfully. We've grown, all of us, the community, the organization, and the board. The IANA contract is now part of our past and no longer defines our future. But as the new future becomes clearer, it is important that the choices we make, our priorities, be set within functional parameters, that they be weighed against reasonable budget and funding considerations. Uh-oh, what does that mean? We will now be judged largely by the way we collectively construct our future, one that must be built on a foundation of transparency and accountability. These two elements are not just important, they're absolutely vital. In a few minutes, you'll hear from our CEO, Jørgen Marby, talk about the steps the organization is taking to further ingrain transparency and accountability into our institutional DNA. The board is also trying to increase its transparency and is engaged in a pilot program to determine how we might best open some of our sessions. We've done 2 already. We are also well aware of your role as the empowered community, and we realize that you will be the ones who ultimately determine our direction. At the end of the day, one of our top priorities must be that we continue to strengthen our technical orientation. It's those operations that lie at the heart of our small but significant role in the internet ecosystem. And one of our top priorities is the security of the domain name system. In October, 5-6 months from now. For the first time, we will be changing the cryptographic keys to the DNS. Our Chief Technology Officer, David Conrad, will be talking more about that in a few minutes. We will also talk about a new testing platform that is going online today, one aimed at assuring that we are all ready once the keys are changed later this year. In addition to assuring the security of the DNS, a great deal of work is occurring here in Copenhagen in the arena of policy and advice development. As you know, this work is part of the fundamental core functions of our organization. There will be further community discussions on a number of important issues, such as the review of the all rights protection mechanism in all GTLDs, next generation registry directory services to replace WHOIS, retirement of CCTLDs and review mechanism for decisions on delegation, revocation, and retirement of CCTLDs. That sounds very boring. If you step into that room, you will hear, I'm sure, a pretty heated discussion. A framework for the use of country and territory names as top-level domains. The address supporting organization will also hold its annual meeting, and a review committee on the ICANN numbering system will convene. Each of the advisory committees also has a busy schedule. At-large will address the at-large structures, criteria, and responsibilities, a recent draft organizational review, and Workstream 2 issues. The Governmental Advisory Committee will be meeting with various supporting organizations, including cross-community sessions on DNS abuse mitigation, underserved regions, and data protection. The Root Server System Advisory Committee is raising awareness of 3 recent publications concerning the history and evolution of the root server system. And the Security and Stability Advisory Committee will hold its DNSSEC workshop, and describe recent reports, current activities, and goals with the community. We're aware that substantial community time and effort is being devoted to efforts such as meeting the requirements of the new bylaws, reviews, and accountability efforts. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out the important and ongoing work of Workstream 2 working groups. Finally, I want to note that the second course organized by the ICANN Academy on chairing skills is ongoing. We want to encourage community leaders, both new and experienced, to continue taking these courses. These serve as a absolutely excellent entree into how we work and prepare people for leadership roles in the future. Please know that we recognize and appreciate the hard work that many of you have put into dealing with all these very difficult issues. And the way we deal with these issues, and many others we face, will help us define us to the rest of the world and ensure confidence. And that speaks to the importance of embracing clarity and certainty in our processes. This is another area that Joran will talk about shortly, one that's of great interest to the board. We are sometimes viewed as if we were like a government. We are not. We are not a profit-oriented enterprise. On the other hand, we sit somewhere in a vaguely defined role, and we should make the best of it rather than the least of it, and use the advantages that we have and the flexibility to be effective and efficient, in addition to being transparent, accountable, and operating in the public interest. The evolutionary post-transition period, we all need to be focused on refining a smooth, steady, predictable operation, one that instills confidence. And as I just suggested, a key focus is on execution. That means getting things done, but of course we want to get things done right, and even more importantly, we want to get the right things done. We need to ensure that what gets done is a result of collective and inclusive effort. We're a global technical coordination body, but we must not forget that we are human beings who want to who share a want and a need for respect and appreciation. And respect is an important element in the foundation of the multi-stakeholder model. To that point, we have already had some meetings to hammer out an anti-harassment resolution, which we hope to have finalized by the end of this meeting. In Singapore 2 years ago, I emphasized the importance of having empathy for one another. And that's a message I want to repeat today. We need to listen to each other, at least as much as we talk to each other. We need to appreciate that even in the face of disagreement, especially in the face of disagreement, we need to connect on a human level. Empathy and mutual respect must frame all of our discussions. Just before coming to Denmark, I learned about something here that might help us in this regard. It's quite fascinating. I'm talking about the Danish national character known as, and I'm going to screw this up, hygge. Close enough? Thank you. It refers to a state of mind where all one's needs are in balance. It's comfortable, warm, inviting state of being, despite the weather. Hygge is becoming a leading Danish export. In the US last year, at least 6 books were written about it. 9 have been published in the UK, and more are appearing every week around the world. I have one in my luggage. Both the Oxford and the Collins dictionaries added hygge to their 2016 shortlist of Words of the Year. Hygge is a destination that we all need to try to reach, and by we, I do indeed mean all of us. You, the community, the board, organization, everybody. We're all different parts of one entity united by a common purpose to help maintain an amazing global network of networks. If we do our mission well, we will facilitate communication and the flow of information around the globe. But the only way that we can do that is if we work together and it's framed, and the work that we do together is framed by compassion and respect. And I thank you.